HOA Karen Pepper sprayed the cops during a neighborhood dispute, and the mayhem that followed was beyond anything I ever imagined. The chaos started the moment I stepped outside and saw Karen screaming at my neighbor about a property line shrub like it was a national emergency. I tried to ignore it at first, but her shouting kept getting louder until it echoed across the whole street. That's when I noticed she was holding a can of pepper spray like it was a microphone. I already knew this was going to end badly. What I didn't know was just how badly. It all began when Karen, my neighbor's new fence, encroached onto HOA visual territory, a phrase that exists only in the HOA rulebook inside her imagination. The reality was simple. The survey stakes were accurate. The fence was legal. And my neighbor even had drone footage proving the exact property line. But logic doesn't apply to Karen. She marched around shouting about bylaws and collective authority, even though our side of the street wasn't part of the HOA at all. She refused to listen, refused to look at the deed, and refused to believe anything that didn't match her fantasy. The incident exploded when the police arrived. 2 officers calmly approached to defuse the situation. They asked Karen to step aside. They asked her to hand over the pepper spray. They asked her to stop approaching my neighbor. She responded by screaming, "This is my neighborhood." Then, in an act of pure self-destruction, she raised the pepper spray and unleashed it directly at the officers. My reaction was a mix of shock and instant, freezing disbelief. The mist hit both officers before they could dodge. One staggered back coughing. The other dropped to a knee, calling for backup. Karen actually tried to run after that, which would have been hilarious if it weren't so dangerous. I stood there thinking, this woman just turned a fence dispute into a felony circus. I planned to hand over every piece of evidence I had. I pulled up my doorbell footage that recorded her wild accusations. I retrieved the drone footage showing the exact property line. I also printed the county survey documents proving the fence was fully compliant. I wanted every detail airtight. The execution was quick. Backup cruisers arrived in minutes. Karen was detained face down on the sidewalk while screaming about her rights as HOA president, even though she wasn't president of anything. The officers took statements from me and my neighbor. I handed over the footage, and they immediately logged it as evidence. They told us pepper spraying an officer was a guaranteed felony charge. The consequences came down hard. Karen was charged with assault on law enforcement, disorderly conduct, and filing false HOA claims. The real HOA issued a statement saying she wasn't affiliated with them at all. The neighborhood watched as she was removed from every committee she'd ever inserted herself into. But the payoff was seeing the property line dispute officially closed with my neighbor fully vindicated. And Karen? She now avoids our street like it's radioactive. If you love HOA justice stories, like the video and subscribe.